It's been nearly 40 years since The Legend of Zelda flickered onto our analog television screens. What was once a damsel in distress and merely an objective of the game, Zelda has become a key character in the franchise, transforming the landscape of the video game. Her actions are key to the story and Link's success. Throughout the series, we discover her desires, motivation, and a deep well of lore. The eponymous princess doesn't just fight to save her people, she dares to change the tides of fate to do so. And after last year's debut of The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, where Princess Zelda takes the spotlight for the very first time as the main playable character, and with the Legend of Zelda movie in the works, I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to try my hand out on cosplaying as the legendary Zelda herself. Presented by NHTSA, speeding catches up with you. What's up everybody, I'm Alyson Tabbitha and I'm a cosplayer and content creator. And if you've never made, built, or done your own cosplay before, you've come to the right place. And San Diego Comic-Con is the perfect place to debut my Zelda cosplay. And here's my first tip. You want to give yourself enough time to build out your cosplay, especially if it's your first time. You don't want to do a rush job because it will never turn out the way you want. Give yourself enough time to create a cosplay at the right pace. I'm giving myself about 2 weeks for this project. But if you're new, I recommend giving yourself an extra week or so just so you can get the hang of it. All right, let's get to building. First thing you want to do is map out your costume. Thankfully, Zelda is already designed for us, so I don't need to do that work. But what I will do is separate the costume into different pieces like the skirt and the shoulder armor all separate, so it's so much easier to approach and less overwhelming. I know you want to jump right into building your cosplay, but this is an important process. Take your time and enjoy this step because it will set everything else that follows. It doesn't matter if you can't draw, but this is what I got done. It's just some primitive little scribbles of the different aspects of the costume that make it so much easier to approach and less intimidating, and it has been so helpful for me. I do this for every costume and I highly recommend. I'm gonna show you what I'm working with. So I finished making my own patterns by freehanding the designs into the different shapes that I need, and now I'm going to transfer them all onto craft foam. Okay, so right here is a bunch of the patterns that I made, all traced onto foam and cut out. I need to still cut out all this little detailing out of foam as well, and then I'm going to put that on top. Whenever I'm cutting foam, I like to use a combination of an X-Acto blade and a pair of scissors, and I like both of the blades to be extremely sharp so it cuts really smooth like butter, because if it doesn't cut smooth, it leaves like rough edges in the foam and you really want a nice, clean, smooth cut. Okay, so I finished cutting out all the foam pieces. Look how beautiful the designs on this costume are. That's gorgeous. This is actually a shoulder piece. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna layer this detail on top of here, and then it's gonna curve over the shoulder, just like Zelda. And we just have a bunch of really pretty like symbols and stuff, and I need to glue this all together and I need to paint it gold, and it's gonna look so amazing and I'm so excited. All right, so I'm gonna start gluing together the foam pieces that I cut out. I'm gonna first separate all the different details. I'm gonna use a heat gun to go over all the foam because foam is porous, and when you heat it up, it shrinks a little and tightens so it doesn't absorb all the paint and stuff that you put over it. Okay, so I have done some things to the side of the crown. It folds in the middle and it has some holes in it. To do that, all I'm gonna do is take the heat gun, heat it up, and then fold it over. So that's how you create the fold. To make the indentations, all I do is take a pen and I just press into the foam while I draw a circle. This works better if your foam is already heat sealed. Now I'm going to glue all these little detail pieces onto the base piece of foam. I'm gonna do that with hot glue. So I'm going to have this little crystal. I'm gonna hold it down with a tiny dot of glue because I will be removing it. And then I'm gonna glue over it the little other details. I'm gonna carefully remove this diamond because I don't want to get spray paint on it, but I still need to spray paint all this gold. If you look closely, you might notice that this side has a slight curve to it and this side is very flat. And the way I did this is super easy. All you do is flip it over, and on the back, you take a little tiny line of hot glue. You just put it on the middle of the area you want to curve a little, and then you just bend it, pinch it together, and then let it release while it's still a little tacky. And then when you turn it over, it now also has a curve. Okay, it is all glued together, and these lines were done by just taking the pen and drawing and making indentations wherever I needed lines to be. It's such an easy, simple hack. So this goes on top of the shoulder armor like that. And I'm gluing together these two pieces, and I'm going to use these little pieces of foam as connectors. And then I just hot glue these together, and it will turn out like this. On the edge of the shoulder armor, it has this little design, and I'm just gonna make that design with hot glue, and it'll be a little raised edge. You can also use t-shirt paint for this. I made this really cool shape by doing the same method I've been doing this whole time. So I already kind of traced out where I want to put the glue. So I just start gluing and then pinching. And then I let it cool, and then I repeat that step for all the other areas. Then it's time to glue all the other pieces together. I have this shape, and over that, I'm gonna be putting this shape. And then over that, I'm gonna be putting this shape. And then over that, I'm gonna be putting this shape. And just putting all these different layers really gives it a bunch of different details that make it look so much better. It also is going to have a crystal underneath it. It's just gonna peek through this little window like that and be just so beautiful. And there's the piece that goes around the belt area. Okay, so now that all these pieces are cut out with foam, I am going to stabilize them by gluing them to cardstock or poster board. And it helps stabilize the foam so it bends less and can't tear. So an interesting tip I have for you is to save your toilet paper rolls and your paper towel rolls. I use cardstock or poster board to stabilize the back of my foam armor because it's really flexible and I don't want it to move. This is really thick, and it also already has a very smooth curve. So say you need to make a bracelet. You just cover this in foam and you got yourself a bracelet. For this costume, I used it in the shoulders, and I also used it for the crown because the crown has to curve around my head. Here you can see I just glued the foam onto the toilet paper roll, and it has a natural curve, so when I put it on my head, it just fits right on it perfectly. Okay, this piece is the front skirt panel, and there is a lot of details. They got a little tangled up, but these need to be spread on top. But since it's gonna be bending a lot and moving when I sit and when I walk, the paint might rub or chip off. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to get a plain fabric and just stretch it over and glue it on. I'm probably gonna use a spray glue and then just spray it all over the foam and then spread this over top of it. Here are the pieces. Okay, I'm gonna show you the pieces that I've built so far. I have the front panel of the skirt, and I have the belt attachment that goes right over that, and I have the shoulder armor that already looks super cool, and the little piece that goes between both of the shoulder armor pieces. And then I have these two pieces that I just finished for the back of the hair. This actually goes on the back of my head, and this holds the little braid she has together. So it's kind of like a hair scrunchie, but it's armor. I almost forgot about the crown, obviously. The crown. I am so excited about this. Okay, so now that I'm done making all the armor and the little details, it's time to make the base dress, which looks like a vest and a big skirt. So a little tip that I have for you is go to thrift shops and look for clothing items in the colors and textures you need. I actually found these men's polo shirts. This is almost identical to the top half color of Zelda's dress. And then for the dress, I got so excited when I found this. It is a wedding dress from David's Bridal. It is the perfect shape, and it also is such high quality fabric, and I got it for $10. Okay, so here's the dress. It actually fits like a glove. I cannot believe it. The only issue I have with this dress is that it is stark white. I'm gonna be very brave and I'm gonna dye the fabric. And then to paint it and make it all one color, I'm gonna use Mod Podge. Then I paint all the armor black, and then I spray it with metallic spray paint. Whenever I'm painting metallics, I always use black as a base coat because I think it just looks better. While that dries, I'm gonna work on the panel. I'm about to paint this with acrylic craft paint, so here we go. While the panel dries, now I can go back and work on detailing on my other pieces. Here's an example of one that I already shaded all the details. And here is one without the shading. You can see it makes the details really pop. Look how beautiful and sparkly they are. I have this piece that goes in between them. Then I have the crown. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna have this displayed on my shelf because it's just beautiful. It's so perfect. And it sits on my head without me holding it on. It doesn't even have anything to attach it yet, and it just stays there. And this piece goes around the bottom of the braid that she's gonna have when I make the wig. And then this piece goes on the back of the head. And I actually went back in on this piece with a brown fabric marker. I just went in very fine around every single detail just to make it pop. But yeah, it's beautiful. It can bend and the gradient looks great and this detail just pops. And then once this is like above it, hanging, this is gonna be so perfect. Okay. So I have my dye bath right now. I mixed it with some boiling water with a little bit of dish soap and some red dye. I have done some test swatches and I think the color looks really good. So I'm gonna dip the wedding dress in here. There's no going back once I do this, so I'm obviously very nervous. And also stir it thoroughly because you don't want a tie-dye outfit. You want it to be one solid color. Oh my gosh, it feels so wrong. Okay, I don't know how, but I did it. It is no longer white. It is perfectly like a pale grayish tan pink, which is exactly what I was going for. Here's like a super white fabric versus the new color that it is. It is just a totally different color now. So that's pretty impressive.
Get up, now let's go. Wake up, we never stop. Gotta get it done, show me what you got. Like, I'm gonna turn it up. Walking on the block and I'm feeling hot. Like, nobody can touch me. They wanna be like me.
It is a new day. I had to take a break and shower and sleep because cutting these out took hours. Here is the cutout design. I hand drew this on Photoshop by overlaying translucent layer over a picture of her outfit from the game and then like freehand over it with my computer. And now it is on heat transfer vinyl. So I will be ironing this onto the dress. What do you think, Edgar? You like it? Yeah, nice. Right now I am painting over the bottom trim with a gold metallic paint so it will give it a little more shimmer. For the gloves, I just did the same thing that I did on the dress, and I used some iron-on designs that I made. And the glove is actually double layered, but I didn't want to make 2 gloves because it's going to be hot out, and the less layers, the better. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm gonna draw a line and then paint this with a shadow to make it look like there's a separation in the sleeve. I'm gonna go ahead and cut these shirts apart so I can try to source this fabric. The way I'm gonna cut them apart is just cutting them along the seams. I already did make a pattern for the top. This is the back and this is the front. If you don't want to make the patterns yourself, you can likely find them at a craft store or a fabric store or even online. I actually offer patterns on my website. This is all done. This took forever. Okay, so right now I am starting to attach all the gold pieces. And to fortify this and make it a little stronger, I take any fabric or felt and I'm just gonna glue it over the ribbon. So now I'm adding some little hooks to the edges so I can connect them to the rest of my costume. So I made this little piece and I'm just gonna glue that on, but first I'm gonna show you how I made this. It's kind of an interesting method. I just used these items and then these jewels, and that's it. And then obviously some ribbon to secure everything. I took this little butterfly metal piece I had. Any kind of metal applique with holes in it will work because I'm going to use these holes to hook all of the jewels to, and it has like a straight edge, so anything with like a straight edge will work. And also, since it's thin enough to bend, it's also thin enough to cut. The closer to an L shape you can get it, the better. I'm also gonna bend it, but first let me attach all of these little chandelier crystals to it. Then I'm gonna take that and put this piece through there and then bend it over. And now I'm going to take some ribbon and I'm gonna actually glue it from here through the loop. Okay, I got a little bit of an update. So these actually are just Velcroed on to the shirt. And then there's a string in the back that attaches to this one so they don't like fall off my shoulders. And then there's this piece. There's a chain right here and it just clips on like that. And then that comes off. And then I'm left with the shoulders and then the Velcro and just the shirt as is. And yeah. Okay, so right now I am sewing these little clips on to here. So this is just a little decorative chain I made, and I made it so I can actually clip these together and then it's gonna hold it up, and I'm gonna sew the other one on the other side. So I have a bag of beads and all I did was I took these and I slid them on this cord and then I spaced them out to add gaps between it. And then I took some glue and I just went in the bead a little and I secured it with glue so it doesn't slide around. Very, very simple. And then once they're secure, I painted them with just marker to add some darkness between the beads. And then I'm just gonna sew this to the dress. It looks so good. Underneath the hair, there's actually some rope that I glued together to make it double thickness. I'm gonna use a zip tie and it will be more secure than a hairband would be and it will not move. Next, I'm going to be taking this foam and inserting it onto the back under the hair. I have these ears. They're just cute little ear cuff ears, and they just sit on like this. I gotta put my makeup on the ears so they match my skin tone, but I like to wear them when I'm trying on the wig to make sure like it doesn't obstruct them. Look how cute they are. Anyway, last touch is the Zelda crown. So I'm gonna, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. I'm so. I'm like actually gonna cry. I'm so excited. Wait, oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is happening. I worked so hard on this. It's crazy to just like see it together. And I don't even have the makeup on yet. Oh my gosh, this is so nice. All right, so I'm gonna glue this on and then the costume's done. Okay, and then I'm gonna do a photo shoot because we gotta showcase this because I am so excited to put the whole costume on. It's gonna be a moment for sure. I'm excited. I'll see you when I'm in my costume. Now that I've finished my cosplay, I'm ready to head off to Comic-Con. But wait, before you run off, make sure to tune into our next video where I show you how to survive Comic-Con as a cosplayer. And if you're planning to wear your cosplay to the convention floor, make sure you leave a little early and take your time driving there so you can arrive to your destination safely and stress-free. Thanks for watching! What cosplay are you guys planning on building? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, come back for our next video where we'll teach you how to survive Comic-Con as a cosplayer. Bye!